Put up the calendar for this week and just kind of like look at what's ahead, Austin, if you could please.
Just one moment, just need to find it. I'm actually going to go to Facebook. I do have it on the Facebook page, but let me just grab that real quick. See how the internet decides to favor. There we go.
Marcella, we love seeing that cute little baby. All right, so this is what is ahead. So we have our meeting today, and we have a great guest, Justin Stoddard, who we'll introduce here in a little bit. Let's just get through a couple housekeeping things first. And then this afternoon, Tanya has a command class at 2 o'clock. This one's gonna be about creating email campaigns. So again, something that a lot of people have asked about. And so jump on for that if you can. They're very hands-on, and Tanya can help walk you through that. Do not make it. They will all be recorded in our YouTube channel where all of her videos are posted. Tomorrow, Bold starts. So it is not too late to sign up. If anyone has questions or wants to sign up, reach out to Melanie, and she will walk you through it. But it should be really great. Everything's online. It's getting recognition outside of Keller Williams. Because it's going to be a great training on how to keep your business going right now during our current climate and our current market. So should be good. That starts tomorrow. And then Chantel has productivity through your 411 at 4 o'clock tomorrow. Yes, you are correct, Chris. Bold is 11 to 1. So let's correct that on the calendar. Thank you for pointing that out.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll fix that.
Yeah, and they did release the full schedule. I think Melanie emailed that out to us that, Tuesday and Wednesdays are the real like meat and potatoes, and then Wednesdays and Fridays are going to be the coach's corner. So
can I jump in on that for a moment?
Yeah, please.
So we were just on our national call, and they announced that they now have over 31,000 people signed up for Bold worldwide. That is double the number of people that go to the National Association of Realtors convention, which is for all realtors in the whole country. And so they think that there's a chance that they may have as many as 40,000 people signed up for this Bold program in all industries. So we probably do need to make the point that you'll attend through their Facebook link. And you've all been emailed the Facebook link. So if you don't go in and get registered and get it set up, you're going to have a delay when you go to start this class. So that should all be done before the 11 o'clock start. Anyone else?
Well, yeah, let's see. I have a couple things to add on that. So, okay, so Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be like the traditional Bold content, and then like a little bit more about the coaching corner, because a lot of people have asked about that. It's going to be, you're going to dive deeper into the lessons of the week and what different activities and actions you can be taking. So, and then week 2, because of Red Day is on Thursday, the actual Bold class that week, the regular class will be Tuesday and Friday. So that Friday, May 15th, isn't just one of the coaching corners, it's one of the regular classes. So just something to note. But of course, the coaches corners would be great to go to actually put some of the things you're learning into action. Melanie, you want to add anything else about Bold?
Sorry about that. I'm just trying to check and see if, for some reason you don't get signed up. Well, just talk to me if you'd like me to help you get signed up. It's really easy. I can actually walk you through it. It's a really great, easy process, really quick. And like Dwight said, they're just having record numbers of people, pivoting and joining this great training. So it's really going to prepare you for now and the weeks ahead, or I guess probably even longer than that. So yeah, just contact me if you want to get signed up. I can help you.
Awesome. Thanks, Melanie. And then Austin, if you'll throw the calendar back up, then we'll have one of our morning meetings on Wednesday. We're going to take a look at the numbers. We're going to deep dive into the numbers of April for our market center, and then kind of take a look at your individual goals and numbers. And Tanya is going to walk us through how to update your goals and readjust through command. So it'll be really good. And just to kind of reiterate that, it's similar to what Bold's doing, but with our weekly meetings. Monday is going to be more of our traditional team meeting, and Wednesday is going to be more of like putting what we learn into action and more specific things that you can do to be very impactful in your business. So that is Wednesday. And then we also are continuing to do the CE credits at noon every Wednesday. So this week's is leveraging GIS content and mapping your business with Erin Nepple from First American. So feel free to jump on that. And then Friday morning, we won't have this meeting anymore, but Tanya is going to be doing a command class on design. So another thing that a lot of people ask about, because you have to do a design in order to do a campaign, right? I mean, if you want it to look pretty. So something that a lot of people have asked about. So join those calls with Tanya if you can. Tanya, you want to add anything else about all your command classes?
Sure. On the one today is actually going to be a repeat of last week. We had technical difficulties with video, and so it wasn't recorded. And I know some of you wanted to see that, so that's why we're repeating it. And then on Friday, it's more than designs. We're also going to teach you some really great templates that they have in there to beef up your website, the home pictures that are on the home page.
Great. Very important, right? Because I know those website images have to be formatted, right? And sometimes like figuring out the sizing. So great that you're going to be walking people through that. So cool. And that whole calendar is up on our Facebook group if you want, if you have any questions or need to refer back to it. We are going, we touched upon it last week that we are going to be opening the office sometime in May, just depending on, we got to figure out some of the guidelines and how we're going to go about that. But we wanted to get some feedback from y'all. So we're going to send out a survey probably in the next day or two, just to get some feedback as far as your comfort levels and what would make you feel the most comfortable. And again, people wouldn't be required to come back if your comfort level is so far that you don't want to do that at all. But we want to make sure that people can be engaging in work, and if they need to have a meeting with the client, things like that. But we just want to make sure that we are implementing guidelines that everybody feels safe and comfortable with. So you'll be getting that survey. Please fill it out. It helps us get a read on how people are feeling. And all right. That's a wrap on all the announcements. Let's get to our wonderful guest, Justin. So Justin, thank you for being here today. And Justin's going to talk a little bit about how to strengthen our relationships right now when everything is online. And even when we go back to normal, right, whatever that even means, this time has kind of showed us that a lot might stay online, or it might stay like this in some ways for a long time. So it's going to be important to keep those relationships moving. So Justin, thank you for being here.
Happy to be here. Thanks everybody for the opportunity. Love being with you all. I didn't see her on the call, but I did want to wish Jenny Hill a happy birthday. For those that didn't see, it's her birthday today. I saw that. So anyway, excited to be here with you all. Be sure and wish Jenny a happy birthday. And Marcella, your baby is adorable, by the way. So, and no, we're not going to have any more. So you're going to have to all look at Marcella's baby because the Stoddards are dunzos.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, very good. So let's dive into this topic. It's been really interesting here over the past few weeks to month. We're really kind of in uncharted territory. With most cycles in real estate, you can look back and say, this looked like this previous downturn. This looked like this previous episode. And so then we can kind of predict what it looks like moving forward. Obviously, we don't have something that looked exactly like this in modern real estate times. And so, some of what we're going into here is kind of uncharted territory as far as, the recovery and kind of getting back to business as normal. Here's one thing that I'm realizing in everybody that I talk to. that is not in real estate. And I think I've got kind of a unique perspective because I have a lot of friends that are not real estate agents. And because I'm not a real estate agent either, they'll oftentimes kind of tell me things that maybe they wouldn't necessarily share with a real estate agent. It's just a different perspective, right? And so I'm excited to share some things with you about that. And part of what I'm seeing, in fact, before I get into that, let me just back up really quick here. You'll notice my background here. I have not done a good job in the past of telling people, again, that I'm with Old Republic Title. Sometimes I think that you guys probably all know that and you don't need to hear it again. But I will say it again, is that I'm with Old Republic Title. And it's been said that, my company is a good company to work for in good times. They're a great company to work for in tough times. And part of that is because of the way that they treat their people. I'm finding myself with more and more opportunities here and more kind of commitment to where I'm at. And so I'm excited because you guys don't need to wonder if I'm moving on to something else quickly. I know maybe sometimes with my personal brand, with my show, the Think Big Real Estate Show, it's been perceived that, I was going to jump off and start my own thing. I don't have any plans of doing that. So just so you know that open escrows is my love language, and I would love to work with any and all of you that I'm not working with. For those that are working with me, I want to thank you for that. And I'm committed to helping you really thrive during this time. So let me get back to what I was saying. I'm hearing a lot of people talk that are outside of real estate about just how much the home has become such a central focus for them, that at minimum, assuming they haven't been deeply impacted by what's happening with COVID, and of course there are groups that have been, there is an added emphasis like never before on getting the home right. What I mean by that is it's now not only a place to sleep, a place to eat, a place to kind of touch in and go. This has become now a workplace. This has become a place where I might have to be forever, right? For a long, long time. And so people are wanting to get the home right. And I would say at minimum, again, people are wanting to make updates to their home. And I would say there's going to be a lot of people that say, like, my home just won't work as a home office. I need to move. I need to list. I need to sell. I need to sell and I need to buy something else. Or maybe I don't want to be in a shared elevator anymore with a tower of people who I don't know what they have. I want to be with a little bit of space around me. So I'll just encourage you to see the opportunity that regardless, and I actually posted something this morning on my social mediums about this, is that regardless of what's happening in the global economy, regardless of what's happening in the national economy, in our state, local economy, more important than all of that is your personal economy. What I mean by personal economy is kind of the way that I define it is kind of the quality of the thoughts that you're thinking, the consistency of the actions that you're taking, and the level of leadership and service that you're offering to other people. Like, those things determine what this looks like. Probably all of us can recognize that there are people during a downturn, during a shift, during a kind of an innovative period where we're kind of moving to something else. Some people tend to kind of stay mediocre, some fall behind, and some really use this as a catapult to jump way ahead. And I think for all of us, we have that opportunity to use this time, because I'm hearing agents who are not doing a very good job of keeping their mindset right and keeping their activities consistent and keeping their level of service and value that they're offering other people at a high level. They're kind of using this as hibernate time. The fact that you're all on here and doing this is a really big opportunity. I think you're on the right track. Let me kind of get into beyond just your personal economy, just again, kind of the opportunity that's out there is that regardless of where people are at, everybody recognizes the home to be more critical than ever before. And so again, I would leverage that and I would start having conversations, more conversations than you've ever had before about how's your home been? Like, have you liked it? Have you enjoyed it? Is it big enough? Are you working from home? Are you not working from home? There's just so many conversations that are so relevant right now. I know me personally, we have our entire upstairs kind of blown apart. We're taking 2 bathrooms, we're turning them into 3 bathrooms. We're putting in a beam. We're looking at remodeling our kitchen. There's just all kinds of things that like used to bug me just a little bit, and now they bug me a lot of it. And so I think there's a lot of people like that. Fortunate for us, our footprint is big enough and we can do the things that we want to do within. There's a lot of people that aren't. So again, I just reiterate the fact that now I believe that residential real estate is gonna pull the economy through, because so many people are going to be updating and or changing the place and the location of where they live. Kind of on the topic of consistency, I'm actually reading a book right now that was recommended to me a long time ago. It's called The Slight Edge. Anybody here read it? Maybe just in the chat. if you'd maybe put down, if you've read the book, The Slight Edge. You probably can't see that very well because of my virtual background. It's by a guy by the name of Jeff Olson. Anybody here read that before? Oh, it's also Heidi Norrington's birthday. I'm seeing that now. Happy birthday, Heidi Norrington. So in this book, it talks about the power of consistency. He mentions that within everybody is a bum or a millionaire, and the difference that decides who comes out of that, the bum or the millionaire, is how consistent you do the simple daily activities. The simple daily activities that oftentimes seem so simple that we choose to not do them because it almost seems like it doesn't matter, right? If I write that personal note or not, it doesn't matter. If I make that call or not, it doesn't matter. And I'll say in these times, human contact matters more than ever. And so I think the principles within this book and really the principles of lead generation matter more than they ever have before. So again, today's topic is kind of specifically about this topic of getting business from your sphere. I think many of us on the call do business that way. And probably in our minds, we've gone through and looked at our marketing plan for the year. And we've said, well, I can't do that, and I can't do that, and I can't do that. And I would encourage you that everything that you've put on the back burner to say, I can't be doing that now, I have a solution for you, that there's some way that you can do it. And I actually want this to be somewhat interactive. So I'm gonna ask for some participation. So I want you to be thinking right now about some things that you've kind of scratched off your marketing plan saying, well, we can't do that now because of COVID-19. I think there's some creative ways for you to do it. And so we're going to talk about that. So in fact, let's just ask this question right now. Does anybody have something that they had on their marketing plan that they have since taken off of their marketing plan because they assumed they couldn't do it anymore? Anybody want to volunteer for that? Put it in the chat and or just unmute yourself and share.
Client party.
Perfect. Who said that?
Lacey.
Lacey. Hi, Lacey. Good morning. Okay, client parties. Would everyone agree? Like that's one like, yeah, can't be getting people together in this environment. Fairly fair consensus, okay? See Alex shaking his head. Reaching out to local businesses to donate to your raffle drawings for an event later in the year. Okay. Sponsoring a race. Okay. Awesome. Your weekly car show. Okay. Good. Anybody else? Anything else that you've said, can't do that anymore? Okay. I'm going to circle back on those. Thank you. If anybody else has any, please share them. But again, I'm going to preface what I'm going to say here by the fact that people need you more than ever. They need personal contact. And the fact that the things that we're going to talk through that you can be doing in this environment are going to mean more to people now than ever before. They're going to be more responsive to them. And with a little bit of creativity, they're going to make more of an impact than they would have had you had your normal event had this not happened. Okay. So let's talk about some of the basics of maybe a referral-based business. Let's talk about personal notes. I think we probably all agree that those are pretty fair to, like, safe to say, right? Maybe if for people that are high risk, you maybe sterilize it before you put it in. I'm kind of thinking like at the extreme level here, right? But I would imagine that most people are still collecting their mail. And if there is someone that's really high risk, they're probably sterilizing their mail before they get it in the house. But I think personal notes right now are a great opportunity, right, for all of us. Would anybody disagree? Does anybody see any issue with sending out a personal handwritten note that I'm not thinking about? Pretty good. Okay. So if that's not on your marketing list, I would encourage you to put personal notes down. I think this can go a long way right now. Again, keeping in mind the fact that people have more time than they typically have, and they're having less communication, less contact with human life. And so a personal note, someone who took personal time to write a personal note is going to go further than ever. Okay. Phone calls. Let me just share a stat. I may have shared this with you all before, but right now, so Verizon, kind of Sprint, kind of the big phone companies monitor how often people, when they call, do people pick up the phone? And right now, people are picking up the phone more often than they do on, like, it's beating Mother's Day levels. If you think about that, like, people are answering the phone. And so, right, maybe you haven't experienced that everybody's answering the phone, but statistically across the nation, more people are picking up the phone than ever before, and they're answering the phone. So I would encourage you. I actually got a phone call from a friend of mine from church yesterday, older gentleman, just out of the blue. He owns a big software company here in Canby. And he was just reaching out. He said, I just miss talking to people. I just wanted to check in on you and your family. It was a 10-minute conversation, and I'll probably remember that call for the rest of my life. He was telling me about how his 110 employees are now around the country working remotely, doing things differently, and how much more family life that people are having, and how it's been, a lot of silver linings have come from this. And just that, for him reaching out to me proactively with no other reason, just to check in and tell me how his business was doing, ask me how my business was doing. It was super meaningful. It was super impactful. And so I would encourage you that if you're not making phone calls for whatever reason, I would encourage you to do so. Does anybody here have any conflict? And maybe it's that I've got, I'm homeschooling a bunch of kids. It's really hard to make phone calls. Let's talk about maybe some of the challenges you might be having with phone calls. Anybody have anything that they want to speak up and share, or just any kind of mental blocks that are keeping them from picking up the phone and calling? Like, what do I say? Does it seem like I'm being a profiteer in this time when people need help? Like what's holding anybody back here from making phone calls?
Justin, it's Alex here.
Hey,
so
Alex.
One of my drunk monkeys, or whatever they call them, on the shoulder, right, and bold. Maybe they don't do that anymore, but it's always been talking to be honest, I'm fine talking to strangers, because they, I could care less what they think of me or whatever. But when I call people who know me, I think might like me, maybe want to see me succeed, it's always, even to this day, it's super stressful for me to call people that I know in touch base, that aren't super close friends, right? Just past clients. It's nerve wracking. And, the thought crosses my mind, oh, they're going to think it's a sales call. He doesn't really care, whatever. And so it's tough to make the calls for past clients, at least for me.
Okay. Can anybody else relate to that? Is Alex the only one? Is there anyone else that kind of feels that way as well? Okay, great.
I'll throw an idea on that, Alex. There are a lot of people that I don't like to call, and I've developed a habit of texting them, right? So I might text someone out of the blue and just say, hey, I haven't talked to you for a couple of years. Hope you're doing well. I just drove by your house a few days ago. Looks good. Hope you're, give me a call if you guys need anything, or any of those. Texting is easy, right? So if you don't want to pick up the phone and it's a past client, if they get a text out of the blue, they like it. I've done enough of them. They like it.
Yeah.
This is Pam. I'll say the same thing. It's kind of that you got to start somewhere. And so I've now, just through the years, I started same thing, either writing a letter or emailing and then texting. And so now me calling them is no big deal, because I've kind of built I've done the text and the email and the handwritten letters. So now just expecting a touch from me is, not as awkward if I call, because I've touched them in other ways leading up to that. That's not as, phobia as getting on the phone.
Awesome ideas. I would agree with that. I think, there's even customers who I don't love to call, right? And I think texting is a great way. And sometimes it's just convenient. And sometimes it's out of necessity, because there's background noise for them and for you, right? I would say to kind of, to Dwight's point again, don't make the default no contact. At minimum, make the default a text, right? Even a personal email that doesn't look formed, that doesn't look like a drip campaign. I would make some contact with people. If that kind of then warms up the relationship, I would imagine, Alex, there's probably people in your sphere who you're like, yeah, I'll totally call them, right? They're a friend. It doesn't, I would imagine that not everybody gives you that kind of knee-jerk reaction of, I don't want to do this. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the other 87%.
Is he an introvert, Peter? Is that true? Has Alex always been an introvert?
Yeah, I have a really hard time getting him out of his shell. But we're doing okay. He's getting so much better. He's growing a little bit every day.
Part of me believes that. Part of me doesn't. Okay, great. So I think we can all relate to that. Again, I would just encourage you to find someone to communicate with people, because again, think of it this way: face-to-face in basketball would be considered a 3-point shot. Okay, voice-to-voice would be considered a 2-point shot, and a text would be a 1-point shot. The worst thing you want to do is have 0 points on the board with that person, because the reality is, again, they're thinking about their home right now. Whether whether you end up in their mind or not, something is going to happen with their home, right? It's going to be updated, improved, even painted to where, or they're going to list it and buy another one. And so I would just encourage you to be in people's brains, even if it's a number of 1-point shots. But if you can muster up getting the 3-point shots, sorry, not 3 points, because that's face to face, but we will talk about that. But at least some voice to voice, it will make an impact upon people. And you'll, as maybe you've heard me say before, is that in order for people to use you on their next real estate transaction, you have to own real estate in their brain. They cannot, like it's impossible for them to choose you if they've forgotten you, or if they've forgotten your contact info, or if they don't like that. You have to own some real estate in their brain. The more real estate you can own, the more likely they're going to be to use you when they have some need, right? And I think one thing that might even be a way to approach people is, I'm hearing from a lot of people that having spent so much time in their home, that there's updates they want to make. I've vetted a few contractors who are really good at a number of different trades. If you guys find yourself in that spot and need some references, I'd be happy to help. And maybe that would lead to a conversation of, actually, we can paint the walls, but that's like, we're actually needing to move, but be that resource, be offering value to people. I think sometimes, to your point, Alex, is that we don't call because it feels like a sales call, because we feel like we're asking to get something. We're calling to take something from them. But if we are calling to give something and to like give something away, give value away without any expectation of what might come of it, I think it takes kind of people like you that are genuine and don't want to call for inauthentic reasons. And it kind of takes that off the plate. And it's like, look, I just want to give. Of course, I've got a free gift here that people are going to need. And it starts to remove that obstacle. So I don't know if that helps, but think of something that you can do with people's homes on their minds, where you just give stuff away. Hey, I've got a list of kind of top contractors, even if you put 2 or 3 on there to kind of, protect yourself. But some people that call and say, how busy are you as a contractor? If some of my clients were looking for a great remodel contractor, kitchen contractor, electrician, plumber, would you have capacity for them? Great. I'm going to put you on a list. I'm going to be reaching out to some of my clients, and I'd love to refer you. I'd love to refer your name along as somebody who would take good care of them. Are you okay with that? Talk to those plumbers, those people, right? And then call and say, look, I've got, I've developed, because I'm hearing so many of my past clients who are saying, hey, I either want to move or I just want to make updates to my home. I've put together a list of some contractors that I've spoken with recently. They get great reviews. I'm going to send this on to you. Would that be helpful? Right? I think even sending out a text or something like that gets people feeling like you're giving instead of calling to take, maybe that helps as well. Any other thoughts on that before we move on?
Hi, this is Maria Duncan.
Hi.
So in texting, I haven't had any really rejections, or in fact, it's usually welcomed when I text my previous clients or people that I've worked with. I'm not finding that at all. And sometimes what happens is they call me as soon as they get the text, say what's going on, blah, blah, blah. Or I can tell by the text that they're open to talking. And so texting, I think, is actually good right now, because it's not really invading their time or whatever. So, what they're doing at their house or with their family or whatever that is. So yeah, I think texting is good right now.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. Okay, let's move on to the next one here. Pop buys. Has anybody here, did you used to do pop buys? And if you have, are you saying, I'm not doing pop buys in this environment? I can't possibly go stand on someone's porch or drop something off in this environment. Anybody kind of that thought, of that mindset? Any concerns about that one?
It seems like around here where I live, I'm noticing that people, like for instance, a gal that lives across the street from me, and I noticed that they had a housekeeper that's come off and on, and I want to get the number. And so she said, well, drop me a note on my doorstep and I'll get the information to you. I can tell that people don't really want, I don't know, they still want to keep their home safe. It's like they want you to stay out of their house or out of their premises. So if you can figure out how to do it without it invading that's, so, I don't know. It seems like they're still protecting their house.
Great. I think probably there's certain categories of people, right? Maybe high risk people. I would totally agree. I know for me and my family who aren't high risk, we had a couple pop bys this past week, just from friends, even a coworker dropped by like a basket of flowers, and it was awesome. Like it meant a lot to us. Somebody else dropped off a puzzle, knowing we've got, homeschooling 6 little kiddos from home. Like we might need, some fun stuff to do at home. So I would encourage you to be creative. I've even heard, I think Chris Burley on a previous call would go to the store and get like Clorox wipes and drop those off at people's homes. Like there's stuff that people need and want. And I don't know that it necessarily needs to look like maybe it used to look like before, but people have needs, whether it be for entertainment, whether it be for, home cleaning supplies and materials. But I think you get creative and maybe take the top 10 or 15 people, 20 people that are in your sphere, kind of your key people, and maybe send them a text, say, hey, I've got some things for the kids that I wanted to drop by. I know it's tough having, kids at home constantly. Wanted to drop by a fun puzzle. Would you be okay with that? Are there any concerns about that? I definitely want to respect kind of your space, but would it be okay if I just drop something by real quick? And I think maybe that'd be a respectful way to do it. Any other people have thoughts? And again, I agree with you, Maria, that there's some people who we probably ought to avoid physically entirely, but I think there's a whole bunch that aren't, that are getting pretty stir crazy, pretty cabin fever, that would probably love just a human coming by and saying something. So any other thoughts on that?
I'm glad you brought this up, because we actually had talked about this kind of roundtable, but it was a month ago or a month and a half ago, right? And things have changed a little bit. People are getting out there a little bit more. Maybe people's levels of tolerance, or you get used to wiping down things when you get them outside. So I'm glad you brought this up, because I think it is good to think about how people can still do that. And I'm glad you mentioned the point of switching to adapt to our market, right? Kids, there's all kinds of great stuff you could drop off for kids, or useful supplies, not just ignoring the fact of, just sending something that you would normally send, So I like that idea of, switching what you are dropping off to.
Yeah, great. All right. Let's talk about coffee meetings. Anybody here have kind of a routine of like, I'm going to go sit down and have coffee with my people on a monthly basis or quarterly basis or annual basis, maybe even client lunches? Anybody do that kind of to build their business? Is that part of your marketing plan?
I do it a lot.
Okay.
And I would say that, in fact, I'm meeting with Pat Intra-Basato this week. They gave us a presentation last week, and we're just going to meet in a parking lot and bring our own coffee and throw the tailgates down. So I probably have done 10 of those in the last 30 days with friends of mine, guys that I've done real estate with that I know that we just want to stay in touch. And so we're trying to pick obviously good days to do it. Like today would be a great day to meet and do that. So they work well. Everybody wants to do that. They're totally open to it.
I love it. What a great solution. Dwight, you were a part of a meeting that I was involved with that had, here's an idea. You can have Grubhub deliver coffee or lunch to somebody's house, and you can have a client lunch in front of Zoom, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these, different food places will have kind of lower prices on delivery, or potentially no, price on delivery or takeout. You could drop it off at their home and then say, all right, I'll call you in 15 minutes, right? I'll call you in 10 minutes. I would just encourage you to be creative. Stuff like that will cause you to stand out like never before. They'll probably never remember, that will be probably one of the more memorable lunches they ever have, right? It's just like, hey, I just wanted to connect with you. I miss our lunches. I know we can't do it like we normally do, so I'm just going to have lunch delivered to your home. Here's a couple options. What sounds good? And then let's just chat. I'd love to just spend some time with you over the phone and just catch up. Again, I think for those people that are kind of key centers of influence in your network, whether it be kind of the tailgate approach, like Dwight said, or whether it be, in a format via Zoom where you have food delivered to their house, or maybe you don't even have food delivered to their house. Just Zoom. Hey, let's grab lunch. We'll each brown bag it from our own homes. I'd just love to catch up and see how you're doing. Let's dedicate some time, when you're not kind of wrangling all the kids for homeschool, it's, even pick an evening, let's grab like a happy hour together, right? Let's do a virtual happy hour. I miss, and again, these are things that you would have done with these people anyway. I would just encourage you to think about stuff that was on your marketing plan that you've canceled off because you can't necessarily get together with people face to face like we used to, or your restaurant's closed or whatever. Have a bottle of wine delivered to their home, right? Like stuff like that's going to go so far in deepening relationships, both for just your own quality of life and kind of the gratification you get in serving people, as well as the impact that it's going to have and the value that they're going to want to talk about that with everybody. So again, I think coffee meetings, lunches are on. Dwight, loved your idea. Anybody else have any concerns with that or things you might run into and or additional ways where you can have coffee meetings and lunch meetings? That work for everybody? Okay. Hopefully you're taking notes. All right. Let's do small group events. Who here does small group events? Maybe like wine tours or kind of small group dinner dates where you get kind of small groups of people together. Anybody do that are maybe concerned about that? And I've had some people that have done that. Same concept, right? So for example, I have a client who is doing a kind of a wine tour approach where they're having wine delivered to everybody's home, like 10 people, and then they're having a sommelier, I don't know if I pronounced that right, come on and talk about the different wines, right? Like, again, think about your opportunity to serve people right now and to be memorable and to give them kind of a date night, give them an opportunity to come together and learn from an expert. My guess is probably all their evening plans are available. Like they're probably open and they probably have time to do this and they'd probably welcome it. Whether you provide the wine or whether they do, I think it's an opportunity for you to connect with people, and maybe it's about wine, maybe it's about something else, right? But again, if you do these kind of small, intimate group events, I really think you can do it. In fact, my family did a Pictionary via Zoom. And I know people get Zoom fatigue, so you got to kind of be careful about that, right? It might be better like, hey, let's go meet at a park. Like you bring your family, I'll bring mine. We'll keep 6 feet apart. Let's go for a walk. Now, again, certain parks are closed, but there's other kind of walkways, at least where I live, that are available and open. Maybe it's a bike ride around your neighborhood. Hey, we're organizing a little, a few friends, we're going to stay 6 feet apart, but we're going to walk the neighborhoods together. I don't know. Obviously you want to be careful and be respectful about that. But if you know people who are not high risk and that would benefit and enjoy getting out in areas that are not shut down, again, I think there's big opportunity there. Any thoughts or ideas that anybody wants to add to that, of ways that you can connect with people in small groups that they've either seen work or that they're working on implementing themselves?
Justin, I'll share something. When it's been sunny, I really like getting out in the sun, and we were in the habit of, as a family, of going up to the Lake Oswego track, and then they closed the track. And so then we went back, and then they reinforced the closure with more obstacles to get in. And so a couple weekends ago, we could go Sunday, I went back up, and it reached a whole new level of how they were keeping people off the track. So I went across the street to the junior high, and the junior high has a big field where they used to play football and soccer. It's a grass field instead of the turf. And I noticed while I was there that a bunch of guys came together and played a softball game. And they were talking about how they're going to play it in the beginning. And there were like 20 guys, 15 guys. They all maintained their social distancing, and they were trying to figure out, how they were going to throw people out at base. It was really interesting to watch. And then I saw 3 families pull up, and they all put blankets out in the sun about 10 feet apart and had picnic lunches. I thought, there you go. There's a space that they haven't effectively locked down yet. And, if the weather was right, you could go up and invite some people and have anything, right? Coffee, play music, whatever it is. So that's open. And I would imagine Cook's Park and some of the other parks are open too.
I love it. You think about maybe have a talent show, right? Hey, bring your kids, have them practice their talent. We're going to be on blankets 6 feet apart. We're going to have people kids step up and perform. I know, like what are your quarantine talents? I know my daughter's like learned to play the ukulele. Like she would eat that up, like, and then seeing other kids go learn, kind of share what they've been learning and doing, during this time. I think that'd be a really fun opportunity. If somebody invited us to do that, we'd be all over that. So again, I think, families that are super cabin fever, kids are out of school, like, especially as the weather gets going, I think there's all kinds of creative ways. I'm sure you could Google a bunch of other ways, like outdoor activities that remain socially, social distance standards. It doesn't have to be a huge group, right? This could be a small group, but also think about kind of large group events. Like maybe you could do something like that where it's like a talent show, and just at a larger scale, you just invite more people to come participate in the talent show. And, you've got a speaker up there, like a microphone in place that people don't have to touch, and the kids go up and they do a little deal, or adults go up and, maybe a karaoke. Again, the weather being nice is helping because we're not touching doors or sitting in confined spaces. So I would just encourage you to kind of think through ways that you can leverage that and get people out of the house. Again, anybody that does that right now is going to create a lasting impact upon people, because we're all struggling for ways to do that, right? With all the kind of state parks closed, where can you go to get people together? Mark Schultz, you put out your cruisers and coffee thing has been canceled. Your weekly car show. Is there any way to do your own small one? I know that kind of was your own, but get together a group of 10 people and bring your cars, just on a smaller scale that isn't as big. I don't know. I'd love to kind of brainstorm with you or anybody else that has things like that. Pam, I know you had mentioned you're sponsoring a race, right? Maybe you do a race and it's everybody, you like, again, find some track or some trail, and it's whether for adults or for kids. Anyway, let's kind of talk through some of these where people are a little bit stuck. I'd love to just kind of use the combined brain power of the group to help come up with some solutions, some kind of workarounds. So Mark, go ahead. What are your thoughts?
So we actually we tested this last Saturday, just a Zoom call to at least put people in the same contact. It is the conversation, that 2-point shot, if you will. So we did that. We had a group, enough people participate that we're now going to make that a standing Saturday. In place of the 400 cars, we're going to see if we can get 100 people on a Zoom call. That may be a bit unwieldy. We'll find out how that goes. Our plan is maybe for the next 2 months, that's just what we do, is we do a virtual call, a virtual car show every Saturday, and see how it goes. If we get 20, 30, 50, 100, it will build. And then I'm also saving them. We put them on a branded YouTube channel for others to watch and come back to, and inspire them to come back to the next one. It's also given me a chance within this community. This year we were looking for sponsorship for our Portland Cars and Coffee event. And needless to say, my two big $1,000 plus, $3,000 plus sponsors, right after we all got locked down, they both emailed me and said, yeah, our marketing commitment, changed that. So their marketing dollars went away. Mm-hmm. So these virtual calls give me a chance now to reach out to smaller companies and say, hey, at a grassroots level, would you be interested in sponsoring the call? And you can come in and talk about your business. Of course, I get to do the same. I will talk about my business, and then I partner with 1 or 2 other businesses who get to give a 2 to 3 minute pitch about their business in front of this audience at the car show.
What a great idea. I think there's business, like some businesses are in pain right now. And again, I think the best marketing is always asking the question, what's the biggest problem people are facing right now and how do I fix it, right? And that was the genesis of this topic and kind of why I'm here with you today, is that I tend to work by referral myself. And I've got a bunch of clients, and including myself, right? Which are like, how do I pivot? How do I not give up on all my referral-based activities? And so I'm kind of quizzing the world right now. How do we solve this? And so Mark, I hear you saying like, okay, I've got businesses out there that are needing exposure, needing help for a low cost. They can be in front of a group of people that are car enthusiasts. I would even encourage all of us to think that way of like, how can I solve the biggest problem that my people are facing right now? Maybe it's a small business that needs some exposure, and maybe it's you charge for it, or maybe you don't, right? Maybe this is just one of your key centers of influence and you're going to give them some exposure somehow to help kind of get there, like even bring attention to a business. Hey, so such and such business is now open for carry out. They're a dear friend of mine. I love their food. Please go support them. It could be kind of some creative ways to just, again, solve the biggest problem that people are facing right now. So anybody have any other ideas for Mark? I think those are fabulous, Mark, or fabulous ideas, Mark. I feel like you've kind of already solved the problem. But did anybody else have anything that came to mind that might help make that even stronger?
Well, along those lines, Mike Kaufman in the office on the last call talked about ways that we might be able to boost visibility of the local restaurants, and talking about posting menus to try and just raise the awareness and get those restaurants on the radar for our clients. And that's consistent with what you're saying, right? And that would be an easy way to do it, a community restaurant, to try and build support for that restaurant. And we can do that, I think, through command. We can do mailings. We can, post things on Facebook pages. So that would be perceived as a good neighborhood activity for sure.
Great idea, Dwight. Awesome. Okay, let's move to this. Large group events again. This one we kind of got to be creative, right? Like how it is going to be weather contingent most likely, but how do we get large groups of people together to do something, right? I think about, Peter, your big concert that you had last year, right? I don't know if there's any way to do something like that to where people could stay socially distant from each other. Not that, I know that was kind of a once in a, if I remember correctly, that's not something you plan on doing every year, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, it was so fantastic that we determined to go ahead and do it every year. But as of Friday of last week, the stage company, the sound engineer, and the lighting engineer all said, we're not coming. So we're not doing it this year.
Yeah. You see some of these big venues turning to, like, even the big kind of music artists turning to stuff online, right? Maybe there's a way to have one of these musicians do a private concert for a group of people via Zoom, right?
Good possibility.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on big events that people want to kind of talk through or kind of work through that you were planning to either host or sponsor or be a part of, that we might get some ideas from everybody on?
Just to follow up with you, Justin, the conversation actually at this point is to have one of the local bands come in and play in our backyard, and then do exactly that, invite everybody via Zoom.
Cool.
Or whatever technology is available on July 18th.
Great.
Justin, we have a client event.
For my big event, again, for our event, we normally see 400 cars and 600 people every week. We obviously won't be able to do that anytime soon, but we do plan for a gradual rollout. We're going to do our virtual calls now until we can start meeting in person. When we do meet in person, we're just going to limit the number of parking spaces. We're going to have about 100 to 110 spaces. And when those spaces are full, we close the driveway. And we're going to put out signs that simply say, thanks for coming today. If you didn't make it in, please come back next week. And for everyone who's here this week, please wait 2 or 3 weeks before you come back. So we can start smaller groups and still engage. We also will require appropriate measures of face masks and such for those who are. Does this happen in July? Does it happen in August? Does it happen in 2021? I don't know. But we have those plans for a gradual rollout. That's how we will get back to social events appropriately and following reasonable guidelines.
I love it, Mark. Really thought through that. It's great. I think we can all learn a lot from what Mark's doing here. Is do everything you can possibly now, get super creative, and then again begin to think even as far as a year out to say, okay, what does this look like ultimately when we're back to normal, right? And how do I kind of gradually build up to that, to where I continue to keep people's attention and I don't have to go back and retry and like rekindle everything again to get people to come back to this event? How do I keep the momentum going, right? Even with Peter, had this big concert, people were fired up, put it on their calendar a year ago. Like one option is to go in, close it down. Can't do it this year, right? But to have, now how do I keep the momentum going? How do I keep attention? Before any of us broker anything, whether it be real estate, whether it be title insurance, we're brokering attention. We're attention brokers first. We've got to get mind share before people will use us for anything. So how do we continue that momentum and not lose it because of all of this? Because I'll tell you, there's a lot of agents right now that have their foot off the gas, maybe even on the brake. There's a lot of agents that are preparing to retire, right? Because they're at risk. I had a conversation with one and she said, we just can't afford to do it. Like, we're in a good enough shape and we're done. Like, these are agents that are high performing agents. And with an added increase of people looking at real estate, there's opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity to step in and grab market share during this time. So I'd encourage you to think that way. The last one I want to share is this concept of unsolicited CMAs. I think everybody, if you're a homeowner right now, you've wondered what this has done to your home. Obviously, Zillow's sending out their estimate, Redfin's sending out their thing, right? But how cool would it be to have somebody go in and without you asking, do a quick CMA that takes you less than 10 minutes and then record a 5-minute Zoom recording saying, hey, I know that a lot of people I'm getting a lot of questions about what all of this is doing to my home value. I thought I'd just share with you in a quick video that you could watch so that you are able to kind of get your head around what this has done to your specific property. This is as of this date. If you have further questions, I'm happy to answer these questions for you. Again, you don't have to reach out to them. They don't have to ask for it. You don't have to ask for permission. Just do the CMA, send it to them. And I think, in fact, I have a client that did that. And he said, Justin, I have 9 listing appointments set up for early May because people are hungry to know, like, man, I can't live in this house, or B, I'm just super curious about what this all means for the value of my house. We're going to move in 5 years, but man, maybe we need to move sooner. Or, so I think, again, giving people tangible data that all of us are curious about. All of us are curious about what our home's worth now. This is a great opportunity to be front and center. It's like you've already done half the work to listing their home, right? Like, who can cut in front of that? So I would encourage you to maybe make some time for those key people, whether you look at it based on these are the people that are most have the highest propensity to refer me and tell everyone else about me, or these are the people who haven't moved in the past 5 years and they've got quite a bit of equity, or 10 years and they've got quite a bit of equity by now. Kind of whatever that looks like. You might decide upon a group or geographically, but choose a group and start doing them. Again, your video doesn't have to be long. In fact, it probably shouldn't be long because it's going to lead to, if you have more questions, let me know. There's a bunch of information. I didn't want to bore you with a long video. So I'm giving you some information, but feel free to reach out. Let's have a conversation via phone or Zoom to see if I can answer more questions. And whenever you're comfortable, happy to come out and answer more questions. Like, I really think you could cover a lot of ground and really solidifying yourself as the person they look to by making that effort now that, again, will probably take you total maybe 10 minutes per person. So any thoughts on that? Any questions on that, kind of the logistics of that?
Yeah, I actually do have a quick question, and I know you kind of said, but if you could just reiterate quickly, what would you suggest saying in a video? Because we've actually been doing the CMAs since the beginning of the year. Alex can speak on results, but we haven't sent a video with it. We've just sent an email and attached it, or as a link. But yeah, if you can kind of let us know video wise.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with Zoom at all, you can of course do, if it's just you and not Zooming somebody else, right? But Zoom allows you to do a recording and share your screen to where you could start off with it actually with the CMA open, and your face would be kind of right up here in the kind of the top window. Be like, hey, I wanted to send this over, but I know that there's a lot of details here, so I thought I'd just give you a quick 3-minute summary of what I'm seeing. A lot of my clients have been impacted by this, and definitely, real estate's going to be impacted in one way or another. And so I wanted to just give you a quick snapshot on what's happened to the value of your home. If you have any questions at all, whether you just want to update or you're thinking about selling, let me know. I can go in more detail. But I thought this would be helpful for you. And then, you're saying that at the beginning, and then you're just walking through the CMA. Here's the comps I pull. Here's the, yada, yada, yada. You guys know that part better than I do. And then you get down and say, great, again, this is just a quick snapshot. We could spend a lot more time going through this and answering more questions for you. But I just thought I'd kind of give you a quick update as to what's happened in your neighborhood with your home. Happy to set up a time to talk if you'd like to go in deeper. Does that help, Lacey?
Yeah, I think so. So just to make sure I'm understanding, is you're saying to record it on Zoom just by yourself and then attaching that to an email or whatever along with the CMA?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm going to actually do this. This is a great idea. And I think what I will do is a 2 or 3 minute video, but I'm going to use my Altos reports that everyone knows I preach about. And that way I can just look at my client base by zip code or city and just do a couple of different videos and pull the Altos reports up on the videos and talk about inventory and interest rates. So on our earlier call, the national call that the leadership was on this morning with Keller Williams, they said that they just did a survey, someone just did a survey, and the results showed that 65% of buyers think that prices will fall. So if 65% of buyers think that prices will fall, then we need to be communicating why we should be buying today with low interest rates and what happens when you wait for them to fall and you try to pick that moment where it's perfect. So I think I'm gonna, given that statistic that I heard earlier and this great idea, I think I'm gonna do, Marcella and I and Chris will do some videos for our clients that'll be focused on zip codes, that'll be short, and we'll just show what's going on with the market action and the inventory and interest rates. And I think that's a fantastic idea. KW keeps pitching that we want to be the economist of choice for our clients, right? This is exactly how you do it right now. You send a video to your clients and you take a few minutes to customize it to your clients. So, and how much does this cost? Like zero, right? So.
Yep. So anyway, I'll just wrap up by saying a couple of things. Number one, just reiterate the fact that there's a big opportunity right now for those that do the consistent work. I'm confident that if you were to do these activities on a consistent basis, your business would grow simply because there's a whole bunch of people that are either not willing to do it, not able to do it, or they're retiring out of the business. And again, sales, best defined as sales is leadership. And people need leadership now more than ever. And now is the opportunity to really grow your business. I'll self-promote myself here again, that my value proposition to my clients is taking these ideas and helping to tactically implement them into your business. So if I can help anybody here, whether you're a client of mine yet or not, I'm happy to help. So please don't let these just be another list of ideas that sit by the wayside, but pick one thing out of here and let's talk and let's figure out how to implement this into your business. I'd love to be a part of it. So that's all I got. Thank you everybody for your participation, for the opportunity. I always love being with you all.
Thank you, Justin. Such good ideas, and especially the video, because you can kind of target those to individuals and then you can share that on your social media, use the videos in a lot of different ways. But we always appreciate your advice and tips. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully everyone can put something into action that they took away today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.